What's up, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to an update for the pure Mekk-Knight deck profile. It's been a little while since the last update, but much like the Invoke Mekk-Knight update, I was kind of, struggling a little bit per se to come up with some new ideas for this deck, what ratios to change, since the old ratios in the old deck profile were working pretty well. And same can be said here, but I've managed to make a few tweaks and add in some new spice, if you will, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't know. I'm going to run through the list, and then I'll take you guys through a combo as well as a test hand. So for those that are new to the deck, can get the gist of how the deck operates and one of the best and most optimal hands that you can get with this deck and what it will end on. But before we get started into any of that, I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsor, Imperium Duelist, creator of these amazing sleeves that I'm using here, as well as this playmat that I got here, the Toon Extravaganza playmat. This is the front side, or the one side, the back side is that side. I haven't used this side in any videos yet, so I figured I'd switch it up today and use the other side. So but if you want to pick up any sleeves, dice, or playmats, etc., check out the link to their website down in the description below, and you'll find that discount code WinterKills10 off, which you can use to save 10% off your entire order. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the profile. And we'll start with the monsters. We have 3 Mekk-Knight Purple Nightfall. Basically, you can special summon them into a zone where 2 or more cards are in the same column. And then you can banish a Mekk-Knight you control till the next standby phase to basically search a Mekk-Knight from your deck to your hand. So he essentially turns into any Mekk-Knight, has that quick effect banish to be able to search. And he doesn't have to just banish himself, he can banish any Mekk-Knight. Now moving forward, one of the first changes here is I've added in 3 blue sky. Well, I was playing 2 and I added the 3rd in, mainly because a lot of the times I can go first with this deck and resolve this card, because we play cards like Ibly, and we also play Sign Up Mining, which allows us to search Ibly. This card is much more viable than previously thought, because it can be resolved turn 1 using Ibly, because you can normal Ibly, link it into Link Disciple. Ibly will go to their side of the field in the same column that your Link Disciple is in, allowing you to special summon and resolve this card. Another thing that's important about also upping the Mekk-Knight count and upping some of the more useful ones is that you really, in most cases, with a lot of the combos this deck has, you want to see a Mekk-Knight in your opening hand. And if they're Mekk-Knights that can search and grab other Mekk-Knights, that's even better. So I wanted to bump up the blue sky. And now I have triple Indigo, which I think I might have been playing in the last list, but this card is so important to the deck strategy. You can literally shut off your opponent's entire field with multiple of these cards. Like, you can revive this one off of Secrets, and you can special summon the other one out off of Memory to be able to negate up to 4 monster effects, or negate 2 monster effects and 2 spell effects. It's just amazing, this card, all around. It's good discard fodder off of your main Link monster, the Mekk-Knight Morningstar. So it just has tons of utility in this deck, and I definitely wanted main 3. Also, still maining and showing some love to the 1 Mekk-Knight Yellow Star and 1 Mekk-Knight Red Moon. Banish a Mekk-Knight to pop a spell trap. Not a hard once per turn, so synergizes well with this. You can use its effect to blow something up in the spell and trap zone. Use this to move it over to another zone, banish another Mekk-Knight, and blow up another spell and trap. Same thing with this guy. He destroys any face-up monster in the column that he's in by banishing a Mekk-Knight. And again, not a hard once per turn, so you can use him to slide him over to destroy another monster if you want. So that's it for the Mekk-Knights, the main bulk of the deck, I guess. What this deck really revolves around. Now moving on, we have not 2 like I was playing previously, but 3 copies, and also quick flex that prismatic. Let's get a close up on that. That beautiful prismatic rare Timaton, looking so darn good. This card I love more and more every time I resolve it, and I just didn't want to keep playing 2 of this card because it not only does it look nice, but its effect is really good. Basically, if there are 3 cards in the same column, you can special summon this card from your hand. It's in a quick effect, and whatever column it gets summoned into, you destroy every other card in that column, and then nobody can use any of the remaining zones in that column. So you can give them Ibly, and then lock out their extra monster zone, and you control the other one, obviously. And not only can they not special summon except for Link monsters, they can't even get access to their extra monster zone. And this is a really good trap or a hand trap that you can set up during your opponent's turn with cards like Indigo to be able to move things in and out of certain columns to meet that 3 card requirement. So this card is really amazing. And I love it more and more every time I play it. So I definitely bumped it up to 3. Then next we have 3 Draconet. This card is the nuts. It's literally insane. This is what allows us to do like a 2-card like full combo with like Morningstar and like 2 negates set, and searches out so many resource cards. Like, it's such a good card. And of course, to go with it that we have the one crown by the World Chalice. And like I said, I don't know if I've said it yet, actually. I don't think I have. But your normal summon really doesn't matter too much in this deck. So, because all your Mekk-Knights mainly are special summon, the same thing with Timeton. And I've decided to cut Mekk-Knight of Ram as well for some room for some other cards. But this is like your main go-to normal summon alongside of Ibli. But like it's such a powerful normal summon when it goes off. And if it doesn't go off, you just link this in a Link Disciple and you make Mekk-Knight plays from there. So it's a really, really solid engine, very versatile. Then we have 2 Ibli. Speaking of Ibli, this card is amazing. It's fantastic. It's like almost better than Draconat sometimes. Like this going first is really good because not only can you resolve Blue Sky turn 1, but this will shut off Nibiru, keeping your whole field space safe because they cannot special summon other than Link monsters, and Nibiru is obviously not that. So good play starter. And I didn't want to play 3, so I feel like these will conflict too much if I play 3, but maybe I will bump up to a 3rd Ibli at some point. Then the last 2 monsters we have here, one World Legacy World Chalice and one Lee the World Chalice Fairy. This is important because this is your main special summon target off of your Ib, and this will search this in order for you to discard this off of your Morning Star. So these are main engine requirements in the deck. I still got to get a super rare one of these. But yeah, these cards are amazing. This card also has an effect where you can banish it from your grave, except the turn it was sent there, to add any World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. So it can search out Succession, Memory, Secrets, Whispers. It's a really good follow-up card after your first turn. So love it for that. So that is it for the monsters. I'm not running any hand traps right now. I really like Timeton, and there's another card in the spell lineup that I'll show you guys that I'm playing that sort of like takes the relying off of hand traps a little bit. Yeah, so we'll move on with the spells. You have 3 instant fusion cards, amazing, going first or second. Going second, you can instant fusion out like Thousand Eyes Restrict to take a card to bait out a negation, or you can going first instant fusion out Winda to be able to link away, and then use Succession to bring it back, so they get 1 special summon that turn. It's also a normal spell, so you can set it, give yourself a column. Amazing, amazing card. 3 Call by the Grave. I only have 2 Prismatic Secrets, and they're on the other deck, actually, that I think they're my Orcus deck right now. But, yeah, either way, Call by the Grave is Call by the Grave. Still got to play it. 2 Signet Mining to search out either your Draconet or your Ibli, because those are both very critical combo pieces. One thing I would change probably is like grabbing a 3rd one of these to play. I know this card is expensive, but there are budget options. This is mainly just to get to your Draconet easier. Some other options you guys have are like playing Mathematician and Carboneton, and any level 2 like Manila Tuner. Like I think it's the Guard Dragon Justicia, the level 2 water. You can play that because Carboneton will banish that to summon that, and then you synchro with Mathematician and the level 2 Water Dragon to be able to go into Ib. You could also play a Dino Engine instead of this, so you can play like Fossil Dig, Oviraptor, Miscellaneousaurus, and Jirac-Aeolo. So you can go Oviraptor, send Miscellaneousaurus, banish that to summon Jirac-Aeolo, synchro for Ib. There you go. So you can play Fossil Dig instead of this. This is just something that I've been using for a while. Like I said, I know a lot of people always ask for like, is there any replacements for mining? There are replacements for this card, which is nice. So don't fret too much if you don't want to pay like $90 for a playset. I totally understand that. Moving forward, 2 Dark Ruler No More, a card that I didn't really want to play in Invoked Mekk-Knight per se, because that deck really it OTKs very hard, but it lacks in like a really defensive board afterwards. You kind of just give yourself enough to stop anything they might have to stop the OTK, but other than that, it's kind of fragile afterwards. Like you're really relying on your Purgatrio and your Mechaba to really do the work in the Borreload or Borrelsword. But this deck, not only can it put damage on, but it can also establish a bunch of negates to follow up afterwards. So when you play this card and you can't do damage, it doesn't matter because you can just completely uninterrupted set up your field of like 2+ monster negates or 2 monster negates and 2 spell negates. So Dark Ruler No More is absolutely fantastic in here, and I think it's a lot better in here than it is in Invoked Mekk-Knight for the time being. And it's also a normal spell, so you can set it to create a column, of course. So 2 Dark Ruler No More, just to say no to those Build-A-Board decks just for a turn, which is really all we need, essentially. 2 World Legacy Succession, basically Monster Born. It's searchable off of our Morningstar, and we're going to be resolving this card probably more than once in a game, which is why I wanted to play 2. And I do have Prismatic Secret Rares on the way, for those that were wondering. 2 World Legacies Memory. This is a really good play starter when you don't see a Mekk-Knight. I was thinking about bumping this up to 3, actually, but don't want to do it yet because there are some times where this conflicts where like if you open Draconet and no Mekk-Knight, but you open this, it conflicts because you can't summon Lee to search that key discard card off of the Lee, which is the World Legacy World Chalice. So that conflicts sometimes. So like I wanted to like reduce that, but then again, I don't know what I value more, just getting to a Mekk-Knight and resolving it, or having the restriction, you know, mess up my plays more. I don't really know. Then one World Legacy key. This card is key, quite literally, because when this card is activated, you can target one of your banished Mekk-Knight monsters or World Legacy cards, add it to your hand, negate any opponent's trap effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk-Knight monster you control. So earlier I was talking about how you can banish stuff off of Yellow Star and Red Moon to be able to, you know, pop spells and traps or monsters. This can be used to recycle back some of those cards you get. It can add back a banished Purple Nightfall. You can add back your banished World Legacy World Chalice, which is mainly what this is for. So you can discard it next turn, or you can use Lead the World Chalice Fairy in Graveyard to add it back to your hand and discard to the graveyard, so you can keep recurring those searches every turn of a World Legacy card, which is super key. And it also shuts off traps as well. So that is it for the spells. Really excited for this Dark Road No More card. I think it works really well in here versus Invoked Mekk-Knight. That's just my opinion for the time being. And then moving on for the traps, we have 2 World Legacy Secret. Basically, when this card is activated, you can target 1 level 5 or higher monster in your graveyard, special summon it. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster, negate any opponent's monster effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk-Knight monster you control. So I was always playing 1. But if this card got outed, I wanted to be able to search another one and then really put the pressure on my opponent to be able to have to out it a second time. So I really wanted to play a second one, because this really is the stopping power of the deck, is these traps that you play. Then 1 Whispers. This is the same effect as Secrets, but it doesn't reborn a card. It boosts a level 5 or higher monster on the field by 1500 attack, or 1000 attack and defense, but it also negates any spell that activates in the same column as a Mekk-Knight you control. So you have your monster negation, your spell negation, and your trap negation based on like whatever Mekk-Knight monsters you have in those columns. So have the ability to potentially shut off everything that they have. But that's it for the main deck. 40 cards, I believe. When I will go into the extra deck. Also, one other thing I was thinking about doing in here was adding in a striker engine. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times I feel like some of your best defensive boards end on just a Morningstar with a bunch of set traps. And I feel like the only thing that can make that better is like a set Widow Anchor as well, and like an engage to start off your turn to maybe draw cards mid-combo or something like that. But yeah, that was just an idea I had. Maybe something I'll implement in the future, but for now, it's just an idea. Now going into the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Link Disciple and 1 copy of Link Karibo. I'm playing this over Mermaid because this card is just better than Mermaid, because you can not only link into this with Ibly, but you can link into this with Draconet. So if they ash your Draconet, you can link into this to give yourself the start of a column to be able to make plays going first. And it also has the effect where you contribute a monster this card points to draw 1 card, and then place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. So it can help unbrick your hand, essentially. And Link Karibo, of course, is for the Thousand Eyes Restrict. 1 Underclock Taker. A really solid generic Link, too, that gives you a down arrow. So that's really the only reason I'm playing it. Nightmare Phoenix. And also has the attack manipulation option, which is nice. So one of the reasons why I wouldn't play Lambda over this, I guess. 1 Nightmare Phoenix. And then we have 3 copies of Mekk-Knight of the Morningstar. You definitely need 3 of this card. Because in the first combo that you do with Draconet, you're going to go through 2 of these, which leaves you with just 1. So you're going to need 2. But you can recycle this. If you banish this off of your Red Moon or Yellow Star, you can use Key to add it back to your hand. Will go back to the extra deck, therefore giving you another copy. So this is recyclable in a sense. It's just not that easy to do. Then we have 1 Spectrum Supreme, the Big Boy Supreme. Basically, this card can attack directly if it's the only card in its column. If this card in the extra monster zone points to no monsters, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Then it has a really unique effect, which doesn't get used that often, but it says you can send 1 of the card you control in this card's column to the graveyard, special summon 1 Mekk-Knight monster from your deck in defense position. You can only use this effect of Mekk-Knight Spectrum Supreme once per turn. So if you have any like dead cards like in your spell and trap zone, you can just use this to send it away and spec any Mekk-Knight from your deck for free, essentially. So it's a very, very strong card. And I definitely think more Mekk-Knight builds should play it. So moving on, we have 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card is so good in here. I know it's really expensive. I would just probably play Nightmare Cerberus, I guess, over it. Or any other Link monster, any other Link 3 like Decode. This card is just so good. 1 Borolo Dragon, 1 Boral Sword Dragon, the big Link 4s. I guess you could also play Avermax instead of the BLS, so there's another option there. And then that is it for the Links, actually. The big Link 4s. And then next we have one Ib the World Chalice Justiciar. This is really important in the deck. It's one of your main combo pieces. Was actually debating on playing 2, but I think 1 is just fine for now. Hopefully this card doesn't get banned. If it does, we still have Ibly, which is really, really important anyways. So, and even if they ban Mermaid, like, we still have Link Disciple. Like, so this deck has some safety from the ban list for those that are worried. And then the fusions, 1000 Eyes and 1 El Shaddai Winda to round off the fusions there. You could play Ragin, but I like this for the stun factor going first because this deck can really go first or second. It like almost doesn't make a difference, which is why I like it better than Invoke Mekk-Knight, because I feel like it has a better option, you know, better chances because it can go first or second. So that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. Now we'll go into a combo sequence. I'll show you guys how you can basically end off like tons of advantage with just these 2 cards, really. Purple Nightfall and the Draconet. Like, this combo is just phenomenal. And then I can also show you guys like a cool play that allows you to like lock your opponent out of the extra monster zone completely with like Ibly and Timaton. And like these 3 cards, and then like these 2 cards. So like that's the kind of 2 different combos. So we'll run through those real quick and maybe a test hand as well. So for the combo, like I said, all we're going to need is these 2 cards, is Draconet and Purple Nightfall. Ideally, Purple Nightfall is the best, but it can be really any other Mekk-Knight. Purple Nightfall, in my opinion, just works the best. So how you're going to do this is you're going to start by normal summoning your Draconet and special summoning from your deck 1 World Chalice, Crowned by the World Chalice. Oh, you can also summon this from your hand as well. It doesn't matter. Now we'll synchro into a copy of the Ib the World Chalice Justiciar, and now we're going to use this effect to add any World Legacy card from our deck to our hand, and we're going to add Secrets. World Legacy's Secrets, so we'll set that there. Now we've given ourselves a column, and we'll special summon the Purple Nightfall as such. Use this effect to banish, to add a Mekk-Knight. And now from here, we'll grab any Mekk-Knight just like this. We'll grab Indigo Eclipse. Indigo Eclipse works best since we have the trap card. Now we'll link these 2 away into a copy of our first Morning Star. And we won't use the Morning Star's effect here, because obviously we would still have like 3 or 4 random cards in our hand if we're going first or second. But we're not going to use this effect at all here. We're just going to use Ib's effect to summon 1 from deck, and that's going to be the Lee. And then Lee is going to activate to add this. And now from here, we're going to link these 2 into another Morning Star. This is what I was saying why you need to play 3, because this combo goes through 2 immediately. Now we'll use Morning Star to discard this to add any World Legacy card from our deck to our hand. And we could either add Memories, or we could add Succession, or we could add Whispers to be able to turn off spells. I'm just going to add Memory here, so we can set that. Now, off those 2 cards, we have 3 on the field. We have a returning Purple Nightfall next turn. We still have essentially 3 or 4 cards in our hand. Now, one other thing to take note is that next turn, we can flip up Secrets to be able to negate a monster effect here, and then slide it over to negate another monster effect. And then we can also use Memory to summon out another copy of Indigo Eclipse, negate something here, and move it over again here, because Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse is not a hard once per turn. Well, you basically just need another copy, because this card just says, once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 Mekk-Knight monster you control, move that target to another your main monster zone. So it says once per turn, but it doesn't say you can only use this effect of Mekk-Knight Indigo Eclipse per turn, which means you need another copy, which we can get off of Memory. So you can like revive this here, negate something, move it over, negate something, and then once that's exhausted, you can summon another one out into the zone that something is, negate it, and then move it over and negate it again. And it's just really good. Or you could grab the Whispers to be able to negate monsters and spells. Ideally, I like doing this though, just because like monster negations seem a bit more prevalent nowadays, but if you're playing against something like Striker, you'd probably want to go for like the Whispers play to be able to get some juicy spell negates. Now we'll go ahead and show you guys the extra deck lockout with Timaton and Ibly. Now we'll go into the next combo here for this video, which is going to involve Ibly, Purple Nightfall, and Iron Dragon Timaton. So this combo will basically lock our opponent out of their extra deck and make it so they can only special summon Link monsters and give us 2 monster negates just off of these 3 cards. So in order to start, we're just going to start with the Ibly, link it away, and use this effect to summon itself back out to the opponent's side of the field, and we're going to link it away into Link Disciple. Now this Mekk-Knight in our hand could be Purple Nightfall, or it could be Blue Sky. It doesn't make too big of a difference. I just like Purple Nightfall the best. So we're going to summon the Purple Nightfall here, and now we have 3 cards in the same column, where we will use the effect of Timaton to summon it over in this column, blocking out either player's ability to use any other zone in this column. So I can't use the Spell Trap one, we can't use the extra monster zone, they can't use the extra monster zone, and their other monster zone and Spell Trap zone cannot be used until this card is gone. From here, we'll use this effect of Purple Nightfall to banish itself, to be able to add a Mekk-Knight, And we're going to add a copy of Blue Sky because we can actually resolve its effect here to search. So we'll summon it and get a search for 1. We'll add a copy of Indigo Eclipse. And then from here, it's pretty simple. We're just going to link away the Link Disciple and the Mekk-Knight Blue Sky for Morningstar. We'll use this effect to discard the Indigo Eclipse to be able to grab none other than World Legacy Secret. We'll set that card right there since we can't set it there. And from this point, we have successfully locked them out of the extra monster zone, given them Ibly so they cannot special summon anything other than Link monsters. And we also have the ability to use secrets to summon this out to be able to negate any monster effect that tries to activate in the same column as a Mekk-Knight. So a pretty solid combo if you ask me. So yeah, that's it for those 2 combos. Now we'll go ahead and do a test hand. Alright, so the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw into our opening hand and see what we can make work. Blue Sky, Signet Mining, Purple Nightfall, Timeaton, and for our 5th card is Nightmare Corruptor Ibly. So we actually opened up that same combo again, but even better since we have Blue Sky and Signet Mining. If we're going to go second, let's go second, because I kind of want to see what we can do going second. So this hand going second is very, very strong. We have Instant Fusion be able to negate something, or basically bait out a negate. And for the sake of this video, we're also going to basically say, like, our opponent has 1 card for us to work with. And that will be this card here. It'll just be in the center of the playmat, as that is their 1 card for us to work with, because Mekk-Knights, of course, play off of columns. So to start, we'll start with the Instant Fusion, depending on what they have, but usually I like to start with Instant Fusion, because we can use this effect to try to steal a monster, and if we do, we can place that monster wherever. We can place it here in the same column that their card is in, or we can place it here in the same column that our Thousand Eyes Restricted is in if they use this card to give ourselves a column regardless. So let's say we use the Thousand Eyes Restrict. Now we'll just link it off, and we'll just go into a Link Karibo, just like that. So now we have the Link Karibo set up if we need it. And from here, we could use the Signet Mining, which I think we will, and I'll discard the Ibly, and we'll just try and go for the Draconet, because the Draconet play is very, very strong. Now from here, we'll normal summon the Draconet, hopefully that it goes through, and if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. But we'll summon that, like that, and then we'll link these, or synchro these rather, into a copy of Ib. Use Ib's effect to add a World Legacy card. We'll add Succession here. And now, from here, we can't link these 2 into Morningstar, because, well, this isn't a Mekk-Knight monster, and this isn't a Mekk-Knight monster, but one thing we can do is set Succession here, and special summon Timeaton over here to blow up anything in this column, which locks our opponent out of that extra monster zone, which is pretty clutch. Now, from this point, we can link into, like, an Underclock Taker or a Nightmare Phoenix, but what I'm going to do is link these 2 into Underclock Taker, actually, just because I don't think it'll make too big of a difference, and since we're going second, oh well. So we'll link it to Underclock Taker. Now we'll use the effect of Ib to summon out a monster. We'll summon out Lee, and then Lee will add this. Now we haven't summoned any Mekk-Knights yet, and keep in mind, this is very dependent on what our opponent has. I'm just sort of playing through it in a general sense of sort of how to play this all out. Now from here, I'll special summon the Purple Nightfall in this column, and banish it to search another Mekk-Knight. I'm going to add a copy of Indigo Eclipse. And then from here, we can link the Underclock Taker, and we'll summon the Indigo here. And then from here, we'll link the Indigo and the Underclock Taker in for a copy of, not in the main deck, but a copy of the Morningstar. We'll use Morningstar's effect to discard this to add a World Legacy card. I'll add Secrets here, just like that. Now, we have blown up a card in this column, which is nice. But what we could do now is just link everything away into a Borrelsword. We still have a Succession set. So let's go ahead and link these away for Borrelsword. They can have that column back. We don't really care too much. We'll set this here. We'll special summon the Blue Sky to add another Mekk-Knight. We'll add the copy of Red Moon here to clear more cards off their field. We could special summon that there. And then lastly, we can use the copy of Succession that we had set, that we got earlier, to bring back any level 5 or higher monster in our graveyard. And we'll go ahead and summon out, let's see, what do we want to summon? Let's go ahead and summon the Indigo Eclipse. Why not? Just because it doesn't matter. We can revive anything level 5 or higher off this. It doesn't have to be a Mekk-Knight, so we already have plenty of Mekk-Knight monsters on the field to negate with. Next turn, we could even use this to bring back a card like this to get it in the graveyard again, or we could bring back this for whatever reason if we wanted to. So that's a pretty strong board right there. Borrelsword plus 3 Mekk-Knight monsters is game of plenty, plus we have negations for next turn, and we have the Purple Nightfall coming back in the next standby phase, which is something they're going to have to worry about as well. So not too bad there. Again, it just really all depends on what our opponent has. Mekk-Knight is one of those decks that has a lot of variables, so it's kind of weird to do test hand videos with, although I still like doing them, to say the least. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. And drop a comment down in the comment section below on what you think of this deck and what are some of your favorite plays with it. Or you got any spicy text yourself, share them down in the comment section below. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see. And as always, guys, I'm going to kill signing out. We'll see you in the next one.